Call this meeting order. All stand, face the flag. Pledge allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Roll call. R.J. Devon.
Here.
Britton Luther.
Present.
Tim Yoakum present. Approval of minutes.
Motion to approve minutes.
Second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of claims.
Make a motion that we approve claims. Yeah, we'll go with that for now.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approval of payroll.
I'll make a motion to approve payroll.
Second motion to approve payroll.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're to the place of public comment. If someone has something they want to say, come up to the podium and state who you are and say what you have to say. There will also be a closing time if someone wants to speak at the latter part. Okay, we're going to move on to open issues. The courthouse occupant in space. I would like to see if we can schedule another meeting on that. If you guys figure out when it would be
Is there a recommendation yet on where we're going with that?
I think we need to get together to discuss that. Need a recommendation, get together in a meeting.
Okay.
When would it work out for you guys? And how soon do you want to do it?
I'm available the rest of this week and then beginning next week. Yeah.
You got a recommendation or Jeff?
For the most part, there are some
I can check my calendar and get back with you guys after the meeting tonight and send some dates
To you for the rest of this week, or maybe in the first part of next week.
Okay. So we'll wait to hear back from you. Next on the agenda is Board of Health Ordinance and Quarterly Report.
Yes,
All of them.
Okay, do you have a preference?
Did everybody hear her?
We'll go with the quarterly report first.
Okay. You should have a copy of the quarterly report for the Vermilion County Health Department, and just summarizes up what we've been doing for the last quarter. General services including birth and death certificates, and quite a few vaccines we've given out. We had a clinic at South Vermilion's high school, well, at the middle school actually, and we're able to immunize most of the kids left that hadn't had their shots. We offered one to North Vermilion, and they only had one person they thought that needed it, so it wasn't worth it. They could just come and get it at the department or at their physician's office. We are very busy again now that the new bivalent COVID is out. It's kind of standing room only for the shot clinics on Thursday evenings. Food inspections and complaints. We had only two inspections in July. That was a pretty busy month for septics and stuff, I think. And in August, there were several inspections. There were two places that I think didn't have a permit that we did get permitted. And September there were a total of 4. You can see the violations there on the sheet. And we issued 8 mobile food permits and 2 new permanent food
That
permits.
mobile, is that like the stuff where had a lot go on every time you have a hill climb, and anytime they do anything like a little Italy, they have to get them?
Yeah, so this includes these temporary food permits. That includes the Little Italy Festival. The hill climb was be in the next quarter. And then there are the septics that we were busy with. 15 total permits, 8 are still pending, and then 19 had their final inspection. Some problems with houses that were unlivable or one was a pool that was covered with scum and mosquitoes drawing lots to the area. The neighbors were concerned, and some dog bites. Additionally, we've been doing our CPR classes. We've had 3 classes so far that have gone very well. I think somewhere close to 50 or a little over 50 people that we've certified so far. And told you about the vaccine clinics already, and then Peggy has been doing her education. She received, she had her booster bash, as well as she received some cribs that she's got to finish her training on before she can actually distribute to people. She is teaching Narcan classes. Still working with the dentist and local areas to provide PPE. She's helping out with the clinics and helping us we're trying to do outreach to the underserved areas. The first one we're investigating right now is Perrysville, the low-income housing, and we're trying to get an idea of how many people, if we went out there, we could vaccinate if they wanted COVID, or if they were uninsured or underinsured, we could give them flu and pneumonia as well.
Does Thrive help you with that as far as the head counts and where they're located?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we made a paper for them to distribute to the residents, and they're gonna check yes or no what they'd like and what kind of insurance they have, because if they have Medicare or Medicaid, we can't give it under our program.
Sure.
Because we don't do file insurance, which is just impossible for us to do. Any questions?
Paul, just for the citizens here, on the restaurant inspections, it is the goal of the health department to make sure all restaurants are inspected at least once by the end of 2022, right?
I believe we're there, aren't we, Kim?
Yes, well, we got about 5 to go, that's because of the time.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Only at night or just.
Yeah, that's fine. Just for the citizens, that way they know the health department's making sure all of them's getting.
Yeah, we're real close.
Good, thank you.
You have also in your report on COVID, what's going on with the COVID this month?
COVID? I did not get that.
That's okay, you can send
I
it
know
later.
numbers are way down.
We're down, good.
From what they were before. Sorry, I don't have that, but and in my practice, I'm seeing 1 or 2 a week at the ER or calling in for Paxlovid, where it was, 6 or 7 a day.
So we're at the very low on the risk
We're in a low risk right now,
Okay.
yes.
You have
Ready
covered
for
the
the
tattoo.
ordinance?
Yeah.
Everybody's had
If
the
that- you don't have
time
any other
to
questions?
review it?
I don't.
You don't have a copy?
Oh, no, I mean, he was asking about any other questions, so.
Oh, okay. And they did
This'll
just
be,
send us some information from the state saying that the tattoo ordinance is actually a requirement of the local health departments. We haven't had to worry about it because we didn't have any establishments that were tattooing, but it is, they're kind of breaking down, they're doing this thing with the state where they're breaking down what's required and what's they preferred, what you could, if you can do it, we want you to be doing it. So, and on the required, the tattoo ordinance was required.
When did that happen?
That was an email last week.
Okay, that's good. So it's been in recently.
Yeah, that they actually put that.
The state still,
In a
is the
slide.
state still regulating? Well, the state regulates those, but they're not inspecting it now? Is that what's doing to happen?
They don't even regulate it. You don't get anything from the state, like a license, like a beautician or doctor, nurse, anybody. They don't provide them any kind of certification. The only thing they do is allow us to permit them and inspect them.
There was an ordinance in 2020, or not an ordinance, but statute drafted in 2020. Did they vacate that then, or change it?
I don't know, but what I've researched is that the state has, basically, they're not under the state's control, just the county, right, Kim?
Right, and I think the statute is the requirements for the county.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can show an IC code, that's fine.
What needs to be in the ordinance.
I called the professional licensing agency, and they don't have a license to give like for everything else, but
They might have put the requirements in the ordinance, that you have in the ordinance, but they
It
don't.
was Indiana code, but it may have changed since 2020. I don't. Where I'd like to go with this, this will be first reading anyway. Like to read it by title only, and I do have a number of questions about it, but it'll take more time than we need here. Really, they're administrative questions. So between now and when we have the final reading, if we can discuss those line items, and
Okay.
if you or whoever or
Do
Mr.
you want to
Hawkins
just
has
let
time
me
with
know
us.
which items you have concerns
just
about or
send me
questions
them
about?
ahead of time, so
I got them highlighted. I can send the highlights to you. They got small notes with it, so I can send that to you so
Okay.
you can prepare for it.
I think he's got it.
Mike's here, he's from,
If you want to attend to, what it is
he's their only tattoo guy.
applicant. It's not a problem. It's not necessarily an issue. It's more of just administrative. Well, there's a couple of issues I may have with it, but we can discuss those, and there may be a good reason for having them or may not be. So
Okay.
I'll send that to you. Anyway, I'd like to read this by title only tonight. That'll be first reading. We'll go to second reading next time, and hopefully there won't be any issues coming into second reading at that
Okay.
point. I'll send that to you tomorrow.
I just have a question. When is this next meeting?
2 weeks.
2 weeks from today,
Be the
and
It's a
25th.
morning meeting?
yes, alternate to
Correct.
morning and night meetings.
What time do you meet?
8:15 is the
8:15.
start of the meeting.
Okay.
You don't
I'll have to
necessarily,
adjust my
unless we have an
schedule.
issue, you
Yeah.
don't necessarily have to be here for that.
Okay.
Unless there's issues, but hopefully we'll have everything resolved before the
Yeah, I don't see why we can't.
25th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we, for first reading, Vermillion County Department of Health by title only, tattoo and body piercing ordinance. I don't know that we have a number for it yet, but that's all right.
15.
No, ordinance number 2022-15. And this will be a first reading. Second reading will happen on October 25th at our morning meeting.
I'll second
Okay.
his motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
I think I'll
Discussion,
already-
if anybody's got any.
Got my discussion in before then.
I think we're done.
Sorry about that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
Opposed?
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I do have one other question though, that's relevant to not to the ordinance itself. Do you have manpower to be able to, I guess if we only have one, but that doesn't mean that we don't end up with some of these temporary type things happening during festivals and whatever else that happen. Do we have the manpower? You think we're all right as far as being able to administer this ordinance?
I think so. Most people during festivals start setting up early and you can get it done.
Okay, thank you.
There aren't, it's not like it used to be. There's not as many vendors as there were.
I don't really, and if you don't mind, Mike, is it possible they could set up at the festival?
Do what now?
Is it possible that they could set up
Somebody
at a
could come in
festival?
temporarily.
Like a tattoo stand?
Yeah.
Well,
If you want to come up to the mic, if we're going to get into discussion, I guess. I can see where it's going to be an issue to meet the requirements, but I guess it's possible since you do allow a temporary licensing.
Well, from what I understand about doing something like that, you have to have like a, let's say like an RV or something, and then you'd have to convert it into a tattoo shop, and then it would have to be approved by the health department because you're not allowed to tattoo in open air.
Right.
Airborne pathogens, cause infection. So, I wouldn't have any plans of doing anything like that, no.
The other would be, I guess these, I don't know, it's a festival only to tattooing or piercings or whatever. I guess they have those around at times. I've not seen them.
Yeah, those are more like music festivals, and those, I've never heard of them in Indiana anywhere. You know, that's like there's one in Mansfield, Ohio. It's called Incarceration Festival, and it's a big concert, and tattoo artists go out and they set up and they tattoo at this festival. But outside of that, you know, like I said, I personally wouldn't have any plans of doing anything like that, you know. And then like during Little Italy Festival or something, I just kept it in my shop, because again, like I say, you know, you can't tattoo in open air. And there'd be extra requirements to get an RV and convert it, and you know, there's a lot of work goes in.
I saw some potential of somebody trying to do that as a underneath these temporary licensings. That might be a little tedious. Anyway, that's a discussion we can have. I just wondered if we had the personnel to be able to monitor these, and we probably do, as long as we don't get into a number of licensing issues.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
We're having some discussion about record handling and retainment and formatting and scanning. I think a couple different offices have talked about that, about how we can maybe coordinate something. It'd be nice if we could, all the offices could come together on that, you know, to have one company. There was one company that was going to come, wasn't there?
There's one company that I think Ron, I'm not sure who made the contact. Oh, it was Gracie York made the contact, actually. Gracie's not here. Ron Mack has some things that need to be taken care of, either immediate or in a shorter term or not. But there's a firm that does this and has done it for some of the neighboring counties, including Park and Warren, that we may want to consult with or get a proposal from and see what these costs might be. Whether we can do it as a county is one thing, but I'd like to see this thing orchestrated where different departments have different requirements, and the detail behind the scanning and what has to be scanned, and sometimes even whether you have permission, or I don't know if permission's the right way, but the public documents, whether they're actually public or not, is another matter too. So different offices, after talking with a number of different offices, have different requirements that they have between the recorder, the clerk, the Board of Health, etc. So I don't know that we can do it as a county-wide thing, but we might be able to take in a company that can tailor this to the different departments, and be able to meet all the requirements of those departments as well, and have some economics of value there. I don't know that we could do this all in one fell swoop in 1 year or in a short period of time. That wouldn't have to be over a period of months or maybe even years to be able to do this.
But there is someone that said is going to come.
I sent that out, but I've not gotten any replies back yet as to participation in it.
We'll wait to hear
but
on
I'll continue to look into it and try and get a proposal back from them as to what they do this for other counties, so they are familiar with some of the nuances behind the different departments and offices. And I'll get back with where somebody might be able to attend. It'll be for information, so we don't necessarily have to publish it. It'll just be for information.
One other we have on here is, and it's supposed to be on it, but it's not, Ambulance Facility Committee.
Yeah, we have a report tonight, Mark.
Yes.
If you care to take the podium.
Look at the police info there.
Mark O'Hare, Vermillion County MA. We were asked a while back, I think it was in August, July or August, to come together as a committee and determine whether it was feasible for the county or what the county needs would be for ambulance facilities. Okay. People on the committee are Neil Costello, Brent Lewis, Mark O'Hare, myself, Rick Weir, and Kevin Wickens. We sat down and we looked at ambulance, the history of their runs, the time it takes them to get certain parts of the county, the things we were looking at as the best response for the county, and also looking towards the future, whether the Vermilion Rise area get some industry in there, get some more people, the 74 corridor, get some more business up in that area. So we want to make sure that we're serving all the people of the county, not just the small little 2 places where the ambulances are right now. And we came together with this package. Okay, this is just a start, and it's my understanding that, you know, none of this is going to happen tomorrow. You know, these buildings are going to take some money to fund, but if we don't have these projects ready and sitting there when the grants come out, we're not going to ever get this done. So we're just trying to get ahead of the game. The recommendation of the committee is that we have 3 facilities in the county, basically one in the south end, one in the middle, and one in the north. On the north end, we're looking at a place up by County Road 800 North. The property owner is willing to work a deal with the county for the property for 2 acres of land at State Road 63 and 850 North. Currently that's farmland, so there's no infrastructure there really as far as sewage, water, phone, stuff like that.
But there's power out there and cable, right? Cable and internet out at that.
Well, I believe there is, Joint has run fiber up there. I don't know what it will take to hook into that.
But that's along 63, right?
Right, it's right on 63. Okay, and there's actually a crossover there, so it would allow an ambulance coming out to go north and south with ease. They wouldn't have to modify the road at all. Okay, the middle of the county, we're looking at on the entrance road to Vermilion Rise at the north gate. So it's outside the fence, it's close to 63. There is a spot that's, it was an old warehouse at one time, a lot of blacktop and concrete there right now. So, but there you have water, sewage, phone, electricity, all right available. Obviously not sitting on that 2 acre spot, but fairly close. Take a little bit to hook it up. And on the south end of the county, we are looking at a spot right by the corner of 163 and 63. It's next to the gas station there. There's a 2 acre spot between that and a transmission shop. You have sewer and water. Again, close by, it's 163, so you're going to have a little bit of a run to hook up, but you're not going to have to put wells or any of that kind of stuff in. Obviously, electricity, phone, everything else is accessible there. All these property owners are willing to talk to the county and make a deal on these properties. We're not empowered to go out and start making offers on properties, so we just talked to the owners and made sure that they were willing to do this.
But you do have one on the north that offered what they wanted.
They basically said they would not sell the property to the county. Their thing was that they would lease do a $1.99 year lease agreement. Their reason being, if somehow the county did not build something there, an ambulance facility, you know, that's the only thing they want allowed there is an ambulance
I'm saying
facility.
at least you got one property, you have some type of cost.
Right.
Of the property.
I think the Vermilion Rise property would be fairly inexpensive also. So the south end might be commercial value, whatever it is. Okay, but that's something to work out with those property owners between the commissioners and them. You notice in this report, basically we're just laying out where we are right now and then what the next steps are that we need to look at. Okay, and I'll let you guys read through this later. I know I just gave it to you, but we also looked for adjacent properties. Okay, to if we want to do something in the future, maybe we'll want to get some. Consolidate some fire departments, maybe get some firing district set up or something like that. And again, I'm not saying that we're going to do that so the wackos out there don't need to run out and say Mark O'Hare's trying to do this. I'm just saying we're planning for the future so that we're not building something that's obsolete the day after we move into it. It's got room to go, okay? If you go then into the next section of this, it shows you what we have, what we need. We're looking at about a 4,000 foot structure. These would be 3 identical structures. By having them identical, you're not paying for architecture fees and all that stuff on 3 separate buildings. You know, it would just make it a lot easier. The one thing I did hear from Vermilion Rise, from their board, I wasn't at the meeting, but I talked to their director afterwards, is they want to make sure it's not a warehouse looking structure. They got plenty of them. They want something that's kind of appealing to the eye. You know, you notice that we we put together a quick little, something like this is what it would look like, and I think that's what they're looking for, something that's gonna not detract from the people driving in.
I think it'd be an improvement to have something out there by the road at their
Yeah,
place.
right. But this lays out what the needs are of the building. We're looking at 2 bays in each building. Currently, there would be probably 1 bay, maybe 1 ambulance, 1 chase vehicle in there. Things can change. Our plans are, if we continue with this vendor, we should be good to go. If the county wants to run its own ambulance service, we should be good to go. If they want to contract another vendor, we're not dealing with where does this ambulance company go, you know, we're up on a hill over here, we're down in the valley over there, you know, it moves around. This would be whoever's running an ambulance service in this county will be in these 3 buildings, okay? Makes it a lot easier to write a contract and say what you're gonna have at each facility, okay? Anything I'm missing?
One of the things that,
Neil wants me to talk about my thumb, so I'm not sure what that's.
next year, or suppose this ready grant's gonna come out eventually again. And our problem is always in the county, we find out about grants and they're coming in 3 weeks or a month and we're not ready. And I think that anyone in this county, that if you got anything you wanna fund, that start letting Doug Hess know or someone know so we could have stuff on hand. But would that be correct, Doug? And this is an excellent thing here to have that ready. Maybe the grant comes up and you have a project waiting there to be funded.
Well, and this shows here, when you run through it on section 2, it talks about property survey. Once you guys you don't have to buy these properties, but if you can make some type of a deal with the landowner that gives you an option, say for 6 months, a year, to evaluate this property, you go out and do property surveys, get your environmental and geotechnical reports done. I'm just reading these words, I don't know if you know what I'm saying. But these are, you know, the things you have to do when you're going to build a structure like this. The engineering people tell me. The adjacent properties, we can look at what's there, but whenever we wrote an agreement with these people, we would ask that we have some type of an option on that adjacent property, at least for a period of time. So if we wanted to modify these things, we could. Okay, we could get an architect involved right now. The architect should be able to use our descriptions in the back here of what each room would be in the building and design this building. You know, I don't know what that costs, but if we have all that in place, then like you're saying, and there's a grant out there, we're ready to go. We know what our costs are. We know what we can do. I believe the Ready grant, what did they say the other night, was a 33% match.
Yeah, I think it's for government is 33, and it's a different percentages for
Right.
private investors.
But there is, I haven't looked at a grant. Britton sent me some information on a grant that the state's running that this could fall into, and I haven't really got in. He sent me that last week, what it all entails, as far as what matches are and stuff like that. But,
Well, trying to get money for a grant like this is pretty favorable. I mean, it's for public safety, it's for, you know, it makes a lot of sense.
The matching funds can come from a lot of different sources, even private sources, and that's what's happened with the government, or the last ready grants that were federally funded, more or less federally funded. So it depends where we end up falling on this, but yeah, definitely we need this on the bookshelf and ready to go with our next step. You mentioned that you had talked with, I don't know if you said you talked with, but fire departments. Was there any type of relationship between the ambulance locations and consideration of the fire departments of what they might relocate to, locate to, or provide? And not just now, but in the future.
Yeah,
not today.
If it would take a reorganization of the fire departments. Right now, I don't think there's any fire department that's going to move out of their current structure and move into another one.
I think some would like to.
I think they'd want that structure pretty much in the same spot. I don't know. I know Helt Township trustee has done some looking at one large fire department a few years back on 63. I don't think that's gone anywhere. They did combine 3 departments into one, but they're still using their same facilities. So if you're asking me if I talked to a fire department that said they'd want to be located next to this, I don't know. The only one that with the current situation that I said what might be a good deal would be Newport, if they co-located with the Rise, but I don't know that the town of Newport would want to move out of their current building and into another.
Well, we're looking
something
25 years, 50 years down the road also.
Right.
So it's not just today.
Right.
So.
But it'd be something we'd want to probably discuss once we were starting to build, you know, or looking at the land and getting ready our plan. So.
Sure.
The one thing I have been talking to fire chiefs in the past, when the trustee was talking to their departments, nobody really wants to be in a firehouse with the ambulance and everybody commingled. They kind of want some type of separation there because they live two different types of lives, you know.
Thank you. The next step, I believe, that once we review this, we'll be looking at is, after the recommendations, is whether we should procure the properties, whether we agree and procure the properties, and then also getting the architecture into play and the engineering into play. Now, I don't know if those will coexist or not, but we'll see how that goes.
Right, and it's my understanding that geotechnical survey is pretty much isn't expensive, or environmental geotechnical, that's a pretty cheap thing.
It is.
So once you identify this is the property, we can get that out of the way, you know. The property survey I don't think is a whole lot either, so.
All the above. Thank you. Need to digest this a little bit.
Is there 2 acres or south of O'Neill's?
Say again?
Is there 2 acres south of O'Neill's right there on the same side?
There's 2 acres between them and the gas station, that little chunk of woods. But then to expand out of that location, you'd have to go west into the field.
But is there 2 acres there? Too?
Yes, it's exactly 2 acres. That's
there's property right there behind Chevy dealership too, that the hospital owns, that whole field there.
It's Pilson's now, right?
Yeah.
There's a large chunk of property back there. There is water and sewer in the neighborhood. You know, it would be accessible. The problem in there, you'll be putting a lot of blacktop and concrete in to build the roads deal back in there. That property is owned by the hospital. I did ask them to give me a price on selling that, and I have never received a response. Okay, I just heard as a rumor that the Pilson's auto dealership, and this is just a rumor, that the owner of that's asking like $100,000 an acre or something. So I don't know that the hospital is going to sell their stuff real cheap, because that's a prime piece of land there. You know, not doing anybody any good right now.
So really, you only
looking
got
for
one.
donations.
Really, you only got one piece of property would be the question mark, and that'd be the one down in Clinton area.
Right. And we did look at up by South Vermillion, up by the school. There is right off of 63 and across from the gas station, there's a little farm area filled there. There's some issues with that right now, that when the school was built and when all that property transfer went into place, that there would never be a structure built between 63 and the school. But also when we really started looking at it, we started thinking about, okay, we've got an ambulance station there. It's 9:45 on a Friday night this time of year, and football games getting out. How are you ever going to get an ambulance out of there? You know, anywhere in that area, how would you ever get an ambulance out of there after a football game, a basketball game, anything that happens at the school? So then we did look at across the street, over by where like the sewer plant area is. There's an old baseball field back in that area. But again, if that intersection's busy on both sides, you're not going to get through there.
Is the committee willing to carry this forward after we get done with this review and start the next phase of this, of the architecture and engineering portion of it?
I think we're good to work with an architect and all that. As far as the property agreements and all that, I think that's on you guys.
That'd be fine.
Okay.
I'm talking about more in the planning phases
Yeah.
of this, not the actual
Once
implementation.
Kevin Wickens has a little program. He was putting together some drawings and stuff, but we were moving things here and there, and he was spending a lot of time at that, and we said, you know, let's just let an architect do this, because an architect knows that you have to have this if you have this. If you have 10 people in a building, you have to have this. If you have 5 people, you know, there's rules out there that I don't know.
Sure.
So but we do know what rooms we need, what spaces we need, decon showers, stuff like that, space for the oxygen I can't think of the name of the system right now, cascade system, all that has to be somewhere in the building. So yeah, we would be willing to work, I would be willing to work with that. I can't speak for everybody, but I think the majority of them would.
Excellent.
Okay.
That'll probably be after we get through the reviews, that'll probably be the next step in this. So.
Good.
Would it be a priority on them as far as which one?
You know,
Could they be spread out over, over
some of the people in the
years?
committee thought that getting one set up on the north end would be good because it would improve time to the Perrysville area, which is poorly served right now, 74 area up in there. Personally, I believe the middle of the county, which is about those same times, but we don't have anything in the middle of the county right now. I think the middle of the county to me would be a priority, the first one to set up, if you were doing, say, one a year or something like that. But I think the south end is good. If we had to pick two, I'd say the middle and the north, and then it's just kind of whatever your preference is.
Do you take in consideration the population centers and what the forecasts are in the future?
We didn't really get into the forecasted future. We looked at what the population is right now in the areas and the time and the responses and the numbers of runs that were being made.
Sure.
Okay. Because you might have a town of 300 people, but if they're all 75 years old, you're probably making a lot more runs there than you are the town of 1,000 over here, where everybody's, average age is 35. So.
Is the Board of Health interested in participating in any of this?
I would be interested in helping with planning, yes.
Okay. I think we know where we're going right now, so in a couple of weeks we'll have a better definition.
Okay.
Any questions?
No, I'd just like to thank the committee for the work they've done. I think this is a really good report you guys put together, but I would ask my fellow commissioners to, maybe hold off on, running too fast on some of these things. I think planning and having some things on the shelf is good, but I do think we have some other priorities funding-wise. We probably need to prioritize before we jump into, wanting to build any new facilities, but that's my only comments that I have.
Yeah, I think mainly what we're looking at having stuff ready for funding for grants coming up. And if you have anything you think of, please let us know.
Yeah, absolutely, we'll do.
I do appreciate all the work you guys did.
Yeah, thank you.
It's nice having local people volunteer their time to put together stuff, and it was a very good group that I think know what they're talking about too. So
Yeah,
appreciate what you've done. And
You've
look
done
forward
an
to-
excellent job, and I appreciate the time and efforts. It's not easy to put these things together and make the recommendations finally at the end. So thank you.
Next, we have Macau's release agreement.
Yeah, this is an open discussion, or not open discussion, but a state contract lease to purchase. District 1 has the monies to be able to purchase lease to purchase a 308 CAT excavator, and the total sale of $154,421 over a 5-year lease program, which will be $28,840 annually, and then the final purchase at the end of that period, if we opt to purchase, at $39,840. It also includes a maintenance and warranty agreement. The tractor or the excavator will be available in approximately a month, give or take. And we have since you guys made that purchase of the trailer that I don't know when we got it, last July or whenever it was, will be available to us. It'll be an asset to the county. No action need to be required on that.
That will help
Hope
a lot with the culverts. County engineer, I got one part. I've been speaking with Jim Meese about possibility of sharing a county engineer. We talked about it several times, and last time I talked to him, he said after the covered bridge, we're going to get together. And what it is, the state will give you $40,000 a year if you hire an engineer, and also we found out that the state will let two counties combine their $40,000, which would make $80,000, toward a engineer that's shared. So we're looking at that. I mean, we might have to put another $20,000 or $30,000 with it between us, and if you can get an engineer for half time for $20,000 or $30,000 a year, it's a no-brainer. But we're working on that. Britton's working on a different situation about the engineer. You might want to say what you was working on.
second call from NDOT Commissioner concerning a potential of a regional county engineer. Legally, they can do this. It's still not an issue. They're waffling a little bit in that they have some considerations for the potential conflict of interest, and it has primarily to do with the federal programs that they administer. They're a little bit concerned at the optics of it, of looking at the having a NDOT engineer kind of on staff, if you will, with the counties, that would have way into their decision making as with the federal programs and or the grant programs that NDOT administers. So that is, they're a little bit of a, I guess, their consideration. I don't believe that I believe that can be worked through, but they're still stumbling on that particular topic anyway, with the potential conflicts. We have another discussion within 2 weeks, a week to 2 weeks here, which hopefully will drill down into whether that will actually come to fruition and whether they will actually support an engineer. One of the other issues that they have is they're having a hard time filling their slots. So they've had a lot of promotions from people that have moved up rapidly because of the problems that they've had filling their quotas, or not quotas, but their positions. So we'll have to see how that goes, but they're in a lot better position of being able to fill those than we are. One of the advantages NDOT has is that they don't have to have a PE. If we hire someone, it has to be a PE to be able to service the county. They can operate underneath a PE and be able to provide the regional engineer, and one of the biggest things I see is continuity of service. Whereas just like what Park County endured, gosh, it's probably back in the mid-'80s, Tom Martin, I think we all know him, well, we all know him, was county engineer for Park County. He got bought away by Putnam County, and then Milestone actually bought him away, or Heritage bought him away. So there's a loss of program there as each time one of those guys left. Park County's never recovered from it. They never have gotten another engineer since then. So from the mid-'80s, they had one, and then after that, they haven't had one since. Vermilion County's never had an engineer. It'd be a big asset, regardless of however we can go. Even if it's short term, it'll be a big asset. I just hate to see the loss of continuity of program, and that's where I think NDOT, as a regional engineer, would provide a better service to us than what a county engineer that will be here for probably a term before he actually leaves. Plus, we have to have a PE, which is a little more expensive, or a lot more expensive, I guess.
Next, we got county property right-of-way use. You wanted to do some more research on that, or have John do more research on that?
Yeah, this is just a topic to be brought up tonight. We've had a number of issues in the right-of-way use, and last time that the only thing we have, from what I understand, is one ordinance for one section road, or one road in particular. Pardon?
I said I think that's right.
Yeah. We need to have a comprehensive, or we should have a comprehensive right-of-way ordinance, and we've got the initial one started. We've got some others that were started about a year ago, still under consideration, that need to be brought back to the front. So that ordinance is still something I think we need and should have. We do have conflicts, and I hate to see those conflicts continue to escalate as years go by here. So I'll be proposing something, or having John draft something here shortly to help that along anyway, for further discussion.
Okay, the County Economic Development Commission, we're going to table
We're
up for
going to
now.
need to have a meeting with Economic Development. We discussed that with Doug and Mr. Donovan. Hopefully in the next, it's kind of hard to get everybody together, but hopefully within the next 2 weeks we'll be able to do that.
Next, we have the holiday calendar. Everybody in agreement with the holiday calendar?
I don't have any objections with what's proposed for the holiday calendar for 2023.
Yeah, you okay with it?
I think it's the same as last year's, minus the date changes.
No problem, we'll move on.
Probably need to have a motion. Do we need? Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the 2023 holiday calendar as presented to the commissioners.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next we have Doug Hess, if you got time. Appreciate what Doug does for economic development.
Good evening, Doug Hess, Economic Development. So I've had a conversation with St. Mary's of the Woods College about several different things, and one thing that they wanted to propose to the employees of Vermilion County is the opportunity to be able to provide a scholarship to any county employee, their spouse, or dependents in order to take classes, whether that's full-time, part-time, masters. I think they only have one PhD program as well, so all those would be covered in there as an opportunity. No obligation from us. The only thing that we would be required to do is promote this to all of our employees. They would also pay for the printing of any material to that. Now the question I'm sure everybody's asking is, what's the catch? Is there something there? And full disclosure, and having 27 years of experience in higher education, I can tell you the catch, I use that word loosely, is they're looking for the full-time enrollment. So they get paid by the state of Indiana for every full-time full-time student that they receive. And how that works, very briefly, not to muddy the waters, but they get paid for a student when they're enrolled in 15 credit hours. So for example, if most of us think 12 hours is full-time, so if Johnny or Susie goes to school and they're taking 4 classes, which equals 12 credit hours, to us it's considered a full-time student, but the state of Indiana will not pay that institution until they reach 15 credit hours. So if you have 2 students attending full-time, 24 credit hours, they're only getting paid as 1.8% of a student. Does that make sense to everybody in terms of that? So what they're looking at is the head count, because then they receive funds from the state of Indiana. And all colleges and universities do this. This is nothing unique to only St. Mary's of the Woods College, but it's all about enrollment at the end of the day.
That is a requirement, though, for them to be enrolled in this scholarship program is 15 credit hours?
No, they could go just take 1 class if they wanted. The benefit is for St. Mary's of the Woods College is once they hit 15, they get to count that as one student.
Good. Because that's like a 45-hour week. And then
Right, yeah.
Full-time employees, that's difficult to do.
And so the bottom line is, but if your children, let's say you had a son or daughter that just graduated or has been out, we never really talked about what that dependent is. Is it a 45-year-old student or is it up to 26? We haven't really talked about that. My guess is there'd probably be some cap on that. I don't know what that would be, but that would be for St. Mary's of the Woods to determine.
Is there any way you can possibly get them to come to the next meeting?
Absolutely. She apologizes for not being able to come here tonight, but she, with the short notice, she already had another obligation, but she said she's more than happy to come to a meeting and answer any questions. Absolutely.
Just let us know.
What do we
and we'll
need
put it
to-
on the agenda.
Is there anything that we need to do other than?
Yeah, the only
announce
thing
and promote?
the only thing that we would need to do is basically we'd say yes, and they would want our seal or something because they use that as an advertisement. And I told her that if we use the county seal, I believe we have to get the permission from the commissioners. And that's for marketing purposes is the only reason they would use that.
Sure.
Sure.
Good. HR, see any issues? Have you looked at the program yet? No. Okay.
But yes, I can see if Darla can be at the next meeting to answer any questions.
You got any
If
questions
you would
on
look
that?
it over, Leanne, also, and have your 5 cents worth.
Yeah.
You're worth more.
No, I don't have any. I think it's a good thing to extend to the employees, and look forward to having whoever it is come to our next meeting and answer any questions anybody else might have.
Sounds great.
Have you talked any further about any of the other educational potential yet?
We have. Matter of fact, I have a meeting.
You don't need to elaborate, it's just wondering.
Yeah, I have some meetings later this month with them on some additional things.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
The county annual bids, again, we're just in process, so there's nothing really to discuss on that.
Hopefully, those will be, well, a couple of things there, though. Annual bids, hopefully they'll be ready for distribution at our next meeting, or approval for next meeting to be sent out. Along with that, though, we should have, at the end of this month, I don't know if we'll get it before the next meeting, the community crossing grant. We have bridge number 90 up there that we've put in for that, and we don't know where we're going to get it or not. There's been discussion initially that it doesn't qualify because we bought the bridge and it's a force account. I don't agree with that, and neither does our consultant, but doesn't matter what I think. It's up to NDOT. So we may or may not get that. They did not discount it totally. No, they didn't discount it. They just said that may be a potential issue. If it doesn't, regardless, we still need to go out and be prepared to go out for bids here. And so we'll want to ask Clark Deeds to prepare bid documents so that we can have those out for November, regardless of whether, it won't matter whether what the funding source is what it comes down to. If we get the community crossing grants, that's one funding source. If it's not from that, then we're going to have to fund it from another source, and we may have to deal with that with the county council. I don't think there's money set aside for that at this point. Maybe there is within the budget, but I don't think there was. So either way, we need to have those bid documents ready to go out, and that would be the right time to send it out. We will get competitive bids at that point in time. So that's all I have.
District 2 will start their paving October the 13th and 14th, and District 3.
Yeah, we will start ours next Monday, the 17th, 18th, 19th on 200 East. So if anybody does use those county roads, I believe it's going to be a single lane paving this year, so they will be closed down intermittently throughout the day. So just use caution and be prepared. Look out for signage and stuff like that.
Tomorrow we should have the dates and times of what road closures there are.
Yeah.
Also, I think they worked with the two foremen in D2, D3
Yep.
to set that up, and we'll have D1 signs available to you, electronic signs if you need them. I don't
Yep.
know if you need them, but they're available to you if you need them up there.
Okay. Sounds good.
So when you say 200 East, are you talking about like out in the country 200 East? Because
So
200 East is also
So 200 East in the North District, like in north of Perrysville.
North Jersey.
Yeah, go to the
There's a lot of
I-74.
200 East.
We can give you
Yeah,
a
sorry,
map.
District 3, 200 East north of Perrysville.
We can
We'll
give
have
you a
it.
map.
They'll be giving us the segments and what dates and times that those roads will be affected, or they're supposed to anyway. I was hoping to have it today, but it doesn't look like it'll be today.
The Community Crossing Grant Program has been very good program for our county. I think we've accumulated in paving in the last 5 or 6 years approximately $6.4 million of funding for our roads, and 75% of that's provided by the state. So I mean, if you go to these different counties, you realize we got some pretty good roads in our county. If you go to these other counties, you realize we're doing very well. So, and hats off to the highway crews. I think that in the last couple of years they've done wonderful work on our roads. I don't know if you go by, there's been more ditching done and more berming done in the last, we'll just say in the last 5 years. There's been in a long time. And so without that berming and without that ditching, you can't keep a road.
Yeah, Mike's here tonight. He's a foreman in District 1, and he's doing a wonderful job. I'm very appreciative of what he does, and the administration of that highway. It's not me doing that administration, it's Mike. So.
But we got a good highway crew. They do good work, and we'll look forward to continue that process of grant writing, especially for the community crossing grant. So, if you two have nothing else to say, we'll open up to public comment.
I got one more thing, Tim. The county is going to be selling some surplus equipment within the next month, some old highway equipment. The sheriff has a few vehicles, the old assessor's car. And instead of doing sealed bids this time, we've signed up with Gov Deals to do that. So be on the lookout to go online. It's going to be a lot more competitive, a lot more easier process for anybody to use. So I think within the next month, we're going to get those pictures up and that equipment up and vehicles for people to look at and bid on.
I want to say that what
That's a good
RJ did
program,
was a very positive thing. In fact, I'm on that site all the time, and there's a lot that by him doing it this way or setting it up for our county this way, it gives us more exposure throughout the United States. So a lot of times we sell stuff around here, and you know,
Get a
most people
dollar.
you won't get the dollar out of it. But I think this is a good program that will will help us get more dollar out of what we really have.
Kudos to RJ.
Who's managing, who's the GovDeals user or the entry person? Is that you, RJ?
So we've set it up through like the auditor's office to I want to say manage it per se, but yeah, each department, we've got an email out that each department can submit photos and stuff, and like, you know, for instance, like the sheriff with his vehicles, you know, if we list those, we're gonna probably designate one person to get on there, and GovDeals actually has from my understanding, like a manager per county that will help us set that up, so we can send that stuff to them, or we can do it in-house ourselves.
It's very easy to do.
Yeah. So I know, like, you know, West Lafayette does it. I think the city of Terre Haute uses GovDeals. So I mean, it's a very simple process from what I understand to
I would
do.
encourage you to meet with the manager, the regional manager, and
But-
they'll show you. For instance, they have forms you can fill out that are inspection forms for the various types of, whether it be an office chair or a bulldozer. There's a form for that. So if department heads fill those forms out and take pictures, anybody can enter the data. It's super
Yeah,
easy.
yeah. He sent an email out, and I think there's people in the auditor's office out right now, and we're going to schedule that. That's why I said within about the next month he's going to come down, and we're going to get everything lined out.
Yeah, you could put something, you can put an item online, have it nationwide auction in 5 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I bought
It's that easy.
a backhoe off there, several pieces of equipment I bought off there. I bought my backhoe in Kansas.
Is this something that we can include the towns and cities in, or if they have?
I would say they would probably want to set up their own.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Neil says no.
Well,
That was just an idea.
They
Maybe
would
back
want
when.
their own account. There's probably some legal reasons
Yeah.
why. I mean, they're the ones declaring surplus. You have to
Yeah,
declare
yeah,
your
you're right.
surplus. So
You're right.
they would each municipality would probably, now, in our county, yes, you could have interagencies, like, you know, as long as it's a county agency, under the umbrella of the commissioners, you could do that.
Sure.
But there's probably legal reasons why you wouldn't, or you wouldn't
I can-
involve
yeah.
everyone else.
But on the sell that, they collect their commission off the top, don't they?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it's no cost to the county to anything. The what do you want to call it? The bidder's premium or buyer's
Yeah.
premium, they collect that. So.
But it gets national attention. It's got stuff all over the United States.
Yeah. And if it doesn't sell in your listing date, it's no problem to relist it, change the price. It's not an issue at all.
I'd also recommend do not put a reserve on anything, do an approval. No reserve, but approve each purchase. So at the end, because if you put a $15,000 reserve on a piece of equipment, and you don't meet that, it's over. But if somebody says, I'll give you 14, you might take it. So you'd want to approve those numbers.
Okay.
It's easier. And some people don't like reserves. They bypass the auction, they see a reserve.
Okay. This is a good program, and that's a good thing that RJ did on that. Anybody else got any comment? We're going to open this up for public discussion, and then we're going to end this meeting. So anybody wants to have anything to say or have ample time?
Yeah, Neil Costello, I live in Fairview Park. I heard the conversation a little bit about the excavator, and I was just wondering, was there some sort of a, I guess, like reasoning, or how was the decision made to buy the 308? Because that's something that interests me. I'm very familiar with these machines on a daily basis in that setting and the costs. And I'm just wondering, was it availability or trailer size or job size or something that dictated that? Because that's kind of like a mini excavator.
Yeah.
And to do, if you're going to go work on culverts, there's a good chance in Indiana, in this area, you're going to be tearing out a concrete culvert that was built under the WPA era. And like a 308 will not handle that. It's very difficult.
I was going to say, we just did it.
Well, it depends. I mean, it
72
depends what
inch.
kind of culvert you have, but a 308 is pretty limited. It's a 20,000 pound machine. I'm used to using like 40,000 pound machines, same kind of job. You virtually are unlimited on what you could do. It's $50,000 more to go up another 20,000 pounds, but I'm just curious if you like,
Mike, would you like to?
if you just did did you test different size machines? And you guys know what you need. I'm not trying to convince you to buy anything. I'm just curious as to how you came up with the 308, because it's an in-between size.
Mike, would you like to?
The 308 is...
Come on up to this podium if you
The
would.
308 is the biggest mini that you can buy.
Right.
Okay? Well, for what we got, I mean, I put in a 6-foot culvert the other day, no problem whatsoever. You know, and then it's easier for us to move. We got tandem trucks.
Yeah. I mean, you can pull up to 40,000-pound excavator with a tandem, but if your trailer won't handle it, that's another thing. You gotta have a triaxle
And then you gotta have the trailer.
Well, the other thing,
So that
the other thing
kinda-
on top of that is that when we go to a larger, we can handle that size excavator with the equipment and
Yeah.
trucks that we have now. When we go up to the next size to that, then it's a matter of not being able to transport, and we found it to be more economical anyway at this point, to have them deliver that to a site, use it for whatever period of time we have, whether it's a week or 2 weeks or longer, and then have them come and get it and move it back. for
Yeah,
the
you'd always
cost.
want to be able to transport your own equipment, absolutely.
We don't have, well, we're not like
Yeah,
Beaver,
yeah,
where
it's,
you
I
have.
didn't know what kind of trailer they had, so I was just kind of seeing where the limits were and why, because I knew it was a mini size, but it's
Yeah,
not
so-
something I would pick personally, but then I don't do your job or your
Right.
job, so I'm just
In
curious.
10 years, I think we'll grow to that size
Yeah.
and be able to be a.
The other thing
Yeah, I
too
mean,
is
if we had
availability.
if we had the availability for a low boy, we could go bigger.
Yeah, you can put a 40,000-pound on a triaxle pup trailer behind a tandem. Do it every
But
day.
it's just
yeah,
tough.
yeah, yeah. Oh no, I wouldn't
I
say
mean,
that.
you
It's
know.
very easy actually, but it's an expensive trailer. If you don't have the
Yes.
trailer, it's just more cost.
Yes.
I get it. I was just asking
Yeah.
just to see, because it's an expensive piece of equipment. Super useful though.
Yeah.
You guys get a
We
lot.
find
of
it
use
a
out of
lot better for what we're using right now in the backhoe.
Oh, absolutely, 100%, yeah. 100%. Yeah, it's a good machine. So, all right, thanks. That's all I have.
And as we grow, we can maybe do that.
Yeah. All right, no problem.
All
Thanks.
right. Yep.
Have you got a lot of jobs lined out for it?
We do
Yeah.
down in District
Yeah.
3,
Yes, we do.
pick a culvert.
I mean, sometimes renting's cheaper.
Yeah, we've looked at that as well. We do have the lease or the rental. Well, that's what we've been doing is renting.
Plus, it'd be accessible for all the county. It's not just going to one garage. I mean,
If you rent it,
huh?
if you rent it, you mean, or if you bought
No, I
it?
mean,
We have
anything
other-
we buy is for all garages.
We have
you know.
other uses for it. We can have the mow trims put onto it, jackhammers put onto it. There's other uses other than just as an excavator itself as well. And we're finding that all of our culverts at least up to the 72-inch, I'm not so sure we can't do larger than that, but we have a number of them that are failing at this point or in the process of failing.
Does anybody else have any comment? Going twice. Have a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hmm?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for coming.